welcome to another episode of EV Rider. This time we have got what's got to be one of the first F-150 Lightnings in the greater Jacksonville area. Now with me is Sergio. You might remember him from a few episodes back because he had one of the first Mach-E GT performance cars, and now he's back with a Lightning. I understand you took delivery in California. First thing you did was drive it across the country. Is that right?
Yes, it was. Ended up taking delivery of it in Riverside County and drove it out here, and it was great.
Well, let's talk about that. That's a great starting point because, of course, so many people are worried about traveling with EVs, and you've taken both your Mustang Mach-E and your F-150 Lightning across the country. Talk to me a little bit about that. Should people be concerned, or is that something that we've gotten past?
Honestly, I think it's something that we should move past. I know that a lot of people are afraid of it because of the bad information that is being shared out there, but you talk about, I mean, the car will tell you where to go. It'll tell you how long you need to stop, and it'll get you to your destination. And so for myself, that's exactly what I did. I got in the car, got in this truck, I told it where I wanted to go. It calculates how much range it has, and it tells you what you need to do. It takes the extra critical thinking out of the picture for you, and it does the work.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'm really impressed with that truck owners are going to love, and I don't know if you had a chance to use the feature yet, my understanding is it will even start calculating payloads for you and tow vehicles for you and figure in the loss in range, because whether you're talking a gasoline or EV vehicle, when you're towing, you can see the range losses 10, 20, 30, even up to 50% depending on how much you're towing. So talk to me a little bit, if you would, about what you know so far about the towing package.
So that feature right there to me is essential, and it's huge because I also drove my Tesla Model X across country from California to the greater Jacksonville area, and I towed my trailer, and the car did not calculate. It didn't tell me how much I had. It just used the standard what the historical data showed that it would receive. With this, I'll be able to put my trailer on here. It'll immediately start to, like, I could punch in the weight of the trailer, what's going on, and it will go ahead and calculate, show that on the state of charge on the screen, and then calculate all my charging stations, everything based off of that information and not on the information of its normal charge rate. So that's huge to me because now you're taking out the guessing game of like what to do.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any real tow plans for the vehicle at this point?
Yes, I plan on towing a travel trailer with it. I plan on taking the boat out to the water. I plan on, if I have something that I can tow, I'm going to try to tow it.
And of course, we're up here in Kingsland, Georgia, which is just up the road from metropolitan Jacksonville, Florida. And one of the great things about living in Northeast Florida or Southeast Georgia is the waterways. In fact, we're headed to a little park just up the road here. Now, talk to me a little bit about how much this car can, or this pickup can tow.
So this one is the Lariat extended range, and it has the maximum tow package on it. So this one can actually tow 10,000 pounds is what it's rated at. So I don't think I'm going to max that out. My trailer is only 7,700. Well, it's 7,000 pounds, but I had some stuff in it when I towed it with the trailer. So with the Tesla, but I'm gonna probably be about 7,000 to 7,500, loaded up and see how it does. Another cool feature about this thing that I really like and about the trailers and towing is that it has that 30 amp plug in the back, so I could literally be off the grid, don't have to worry about pulling into a park and run the trailer off of this truck.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this. You could literally help a stranded Tesla owner if you had to, or I've got a Mach-E. If I happen to run out of charge, you could just bring this by and give me a level 2 charge, and we would be back on the road. Which I think is really impressive. And of course, what we are going to do, folks, we're going to give you a look at some of those power outlets, because when you see how much this truck can power, that's where it really gets impressive, because it's the actual utility gains that you get with the electric that I think really sets it apart from gasoline. I mean, Ford will actually sell you a kit, if you wish, where you can power your home for days. And I'm not just talking about a few lights. I'm talking about 100% power, including the central air conditioning, including the refrigerators or freezers in your home, everything. So, of course, here in Florida, we do occasionally get power outages when we have hurricanes, but folks that have a Ford F-150 and plan ahead and make sure they have a full charge heading into that hurricane, they are going to be set. They're not going to need a gasoline generator that only powers just a little bit. They're going to have it all. So what we're going to do next, we're going to pull over, we're going to turn off the camera for a minute, and we're going to take a tour of this beautiful truck. And what we've done, we've come into the park here. We are at the Crooked River State Park, right up the road from the Kings Bay Naval Base. Beautiful place, by the way, and a good place to go boating or kayaking if you happen to be in this area.
Here in the back of the truck, you have, of course, your tow hitch. You have your 7-pin for your trailers. This will control your heavier trailers, boats, whatever connects to that. And then you have your 4-pin setup, which is normally for lighter trailers setups. You have this for lowering your spare tire because, of course, Ford F-150 owners wanted to have a full-size spare. So Ford said, hey, let's figure out how we're going to be able to get that spare into the back of this truck. And so they found a perfect spot for it. It fits, it works, and we're good with that. Back here you have these white LEDs, which is pretty cool. They're used as your reverse lights. They're pretty bright, but you also have zone lighting that can be utilized with this. So it has a 360 setup to where if you're someplace and it's kind of dark, you can go ahead and hit the zone lighting. This thing will light up everything around you. These lights will illuminate. The ones on the back will illuminate. There's some lights on the side mirrors, the front. This thing will, even the side step, there's lights there. So it will make everything just be super bright. The tailgate is power for this edition because this is the Lariat. So you can use the button on the back of the tailgate, or you may use your key fob has a button as well. Another cool feature that Ford added in here is this ruler. You get to go ahead and measure, you know, if you're doing woodworking, if let's say you go out fishing like here at Crooked State Park River right here, and you want to go fishing, you can make sure your fish is within regulations. Also, in order to get into the back of the truck, you have a step. Ford added this step and a handle, so then that way you can sit there and you could step into the truck. So even like myself on crutches, I could sit here and use this and get into the back of this truck. Step it on the tailgate. If I wanted to open up my cover, I could open up this cover, move it back, walk back there, and then to come back, even on crutches. I know you guys are probably freaking out that I'm up here on crutches, but I can step down, and this handle is very sturdy, so I can sit there and use my truck and go in and out without having to try to crawl up on the bed and do all kind of extras. And to stow it is just as easy. It's like you have 1, 2, and you pull it back in. And then to close it, you could either use the key fob or you can just push the button underneath and that will close up my tailgate for me. I added the bed cover because I keep things back there, like right now my mobility scooter is back there, so that way it doesn't get wet, it's waterproof. But there are other features in the bed of this truck that I think are pretty amazing. So you have in here, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. We have a few outlets over here on the left side of the truck, which you have a 30 amp, you have 2 of the 120 volts, so the standard 110 volt, there's your 30, and then you have the standard plugs below. You'll also notice that there's lights, LED lights up right above that, and they're also on this side of the bed. And what that does is you can push the button right behind that LED light and it will illuminate all the lights back here so you could see what's going on.
And of course we're getting a little, what we call in Florida and Georgia, sun shower. So if you notice the lens getting any water on it, it's just sunny as can be, but also raining at the same time. So don't worry about that.
Oh yes, we're accustomed to that. Once you're out here long enough, you just roll with the rain. So coming up to the side of the truck, you'll see that this one's equipped with the 20-inch wheels. They come with the all-season grabber general tires. It has the LED lights, like I mentioned, on the side steps, which are pretty cool. That's used for the zone lighting as well. So that'll illuminate at nighttime and just give you maximum lights. Coming up here to the side mirrors, these are also utilized for that zone lighting. So this will also illuminate bright white lights, or it'll go into the orange turn signal light when you turn that on. You also have a camera down here for your 360 view for backing up. This is just a cover. It looks like almost like the charging port on the other side, just adding some symmetrical features to the truck. But coming up here to the front of this truck, you'll notice this huge light bar up front, which looks amazing at night. I mean, looks great during the daytime as well. But you do have your huge mega power trunk, Frunk, and so you're able to, push your key fob and open up this frunk, and you have amazing space. So the other day, my daughter and I went to the beach, and so we got a lot of sand in here because we sat down, we had lunch in here, and hung out right on the sand because I parked on the beach. And then we had our beverages, which we still have some left. She forgot her cookies, but we were able to throw ice in there. It has a drain hole, so it went ahead and drained out all the ice when it was over. And the cool thing about this is it also has outlets up here in the front as well. So you have 4 120 or the standard 110 plugs in this, and you have lights as well. So if you need to put anything in here at night, you can push that button for the light. You could open that for the charging. Super easy access. You also have your USB-C and USB ports in there. Then at the very back of the power frunk right here, you have access to your 12-volt battery, where you don't really have to sit there and take a whole bunch of stuff apart to get to there. So something happens, you need to access that battery, it's right there.
And I think that is an excellent feature, because as an EV owner myself, one thing I've noticed is sometimes EVs, they tend to put the 12 volt in a place where it's kind of a pain if you have to replace it. And we all know eventually you will need to replace it. And it's nice to see Ford made that so simple.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. You're popping off panels, you're trying to unscrew things to get to stuff. That is super easy, simple. I like that. I also like to open it and show people that that's the battery that the vehicle is running off of, even though it's not. It's a nice fun teaser. Up front right here, you have the actual charging port where you can go ahead and do your J1772 or your CCS fast charging, just like the Mach-E. Another cool feature, of course, that Ford had got a lot of feedback from owners is that they wanted their keypad for their keyless entry. So you get to punch in your code, it'll unlock the doors, and you can jump in the truck. I like this feature because if I have friends that need to go grab something from my truck, or I got family and I want to give them that code, they could jump in and go ahead and do what they need to. On the Mach-E, it's pretty cool because it has that, and then you could do a backup password and then just drive the vehicle without any keys. Coming into this truck, you have tons of space. One thing about this truck that I really love is the amount of space that I have in here. I have a 4-year-old, so her booster seat's back there. She has tons of space. I'm able to have all our stuff, whether it's in the front of this vehicle or in the back of it, and we're super comfortable. And one of the things you'll see is I got the rubber floor mats, which is really great because with going to the beach, living out in this area, you're constantly making a mess, and with that, it's easy cleanup. Also, back here in the back of the truck, you have one cool thing I like about this that the Mach-E doesn't have is heated rear seats. So you got heated rear seats here. You have a 12-volt setup. You have the USB-C here as well. There you go. And then you have another 110 outlet, which is pretty cool. And then you have your 12-volt, your heated seats, and then tons of space, tons of storage for a full adult to be sitting back here. But the cool part about this is you get to open this up and check this out. You have this storage bin that sits up underneath the seats that, I'm gonna move this out the way and show you this cool feature of this. You get to have these seats up, out the way, you have this storage bin. That's a little partition, but what I could do is I could control this lever and lock it. It'll now release that side. I could close this down, and now if I wanted to slide things up underneath the seat, I could have things underneath the seat instead of using the bin. So another cool feature in this is, you got tons of cup holders. So you got your cup holders here, you got cup holders back there, but this shifter will stow away. So then that way you can go ahead and open up your computer table, or if you want to have lunch in this vehicle, which, for my daughter and I, we have had lunch. We open up this and we can set our table up right here, and we can just go ahead and eat. You have a 110 plug up here, or you have a 12-volt 12 volt. You also have your USB and USB-C right here, and you have wireless charging for your cell phone. So for the sunroof, you can either vent it, have it pop up just a little bit and get a little bit of airflow in here, or you can actually open it completely and it slides in, and then you get to enjoy all this, Florida sun. Okay, so here in the cabin is pretty cool because you have like everything easily accessible. Of course, your window controls, your side mirrors. You have your steering wheel has your standard cruise control, volume for your radio, your lane assist to keep you centered, your distance for your cruise control, because this one has the co-pilot 360, the blue cruise system. So this is going to do hands-free driving, which is also fun and great for a truck because it keeps you centered. You get to sit back. You have a camera here that pays attention to your eyes to make sure you are doing what you're supposed to do. So it's tracking your eyes, making sure you're paying attention, and so then that way, it's all about safety. It's a device that's supposed to be meant to aid and not really just control everything by itself. So as long as you're up here paying attention, the vehicle will help you out and get you on your way. Another cool thing with this is I got the maximum trailer package on here, so I have the built-in brake controller here, so I'm able to control my trailer's braking, and I could increase or decrease it, just on the fly without having to install a third-party brake light system or anything else in here. Now about to hook up my trailer, I can easily just go ahead and click onto my truck feature. I have all my settings here, so we were driving in normal. Then you have your sport for if you want to have some fun. Then you have off-roading, which is pretty amazing. I drove on the beach recently. Then you have tow haul, and I can sit there and put this thing into tow haul, and now it's going to turn off one pedal because it wants to make sure that I'm safe and that we're going to be towing. And then you can now go into it'll explain to you that you're doing you're towing for heavy loads. Let's see. Now you can go in here and you can do your trailer. So you can set it up if you have like a trailer that you normally use. And the reason why you would do that is if you're using for your Pro Trailer button right here. This button right here will control what direction that your trailer is moving in. So if you want to back up and you want to turn your trailer, you literally are using this to steer your vehicle. And what it does is you get to keep eyes on your trailer. You know what you're trying to do, and you get to just turn this knob as you're moving, and it's going to control everything you need to do. This right here, you can add your trailer, you can add your settings, you can put how much the trailer weighs, and what that will do is it'll then compute into the vehicle and give you an actual estimate based off of the weight of the trailer that you're towing. So instead of just having the state of charge reflect as if you're towing nothing, it'll now adjust it based off of the weight of that trailer, which is pretty cool.
And now we got the real pro at the wheel. Sergio, I'm looking forward, by the way, before we get home, because we're on a back road here in rural Georgia, I want a 0 to 60 run too.
Oh, you say less, Bill. I absolutely will give that to you. I'm putting the truck right now in sport mode to make sure that it gives us optimal performance, and I'll let you have a feel of that.
Yeah, because what I've heard, and I'm looking forward to feeling it, is that for whatever reason, Ford decided to make this even a little quicker than our Mach-E's.
Yes, so the Mach-E does 0 to 60 in 4.8. This one is actually cranking out at 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat.
Now, would the top-of-the-line Platinum also be 4, or would they give that just a little bit more?
I'm thinking it might even have a little bit less because of that whole 22-inch wheels and, trying to get that whole movement going. I know that, their range, it took some impact as well because of all of that. So I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. All right, so he's slowing down. We're going to get the run, see how it feels in a pickup. I'm ready when you're ready.
All right.
Oh, you can get a little wheel chirp. And I would say more wheel chirp than our Mach-E's, although, in fairness, the pavement is slightly wet. And also just want to cite that when Sergio was talking about 4.8 seconds for the Mach-E, he was referring to the dual motor premium edition. Now his GTP will do it in 3.5 according to Ford. And if you guys missed that episode, by the way, definitely check it out because that Mach-E GTP is a lot of fun and we got to spend some quality time in it.
Oh yes, lots of fun driving that.
And there we go again.
Lots of like, and that was with traction control off, just to show you
Sure.
the amount of like, spinning that this thing will do with. I mean, it's like you mentioned, slightly wet pavement, but other than that, this thing normally just hooks up and just goes.
Yeah, and of course, the purpose of a pickup truck isn't to be a sports car, but the point is they are also fun.
They are.
And just like cars, EVs just deliver so much performance in a pickup truck. The torque is there. So people that are doing short hauls especially, they're not going to want for anything with this.
Oh no, this will be able to provide exactly what people are doing in their trucks. I mean, you have a vehicle here that can tow. You have a vehicle here that can, it's a quad cab, can seat your family, and you have extra storage. That extra storage underneath that hood is a game changer for a lot of folks. I would rather put my tools under the front of this vehicle and underneath that frunk and have it nice and secured, and keep the back for other stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. Of course, I'm not a pickup truck owner, but I can say even in my Mach-E, I've quickly come to depend on that extra frunk storage space in the long-range trips that I've done up to Delaware and out to Houston. Yeah, that really is just a bonus that you so quickly get used to.
Oh yes. So I mean, with mine, I throw my mobility scooter up front, and I'll plug it in when I'm out running around, and I can have it charged up in between stops. So I'll plug it in and have it just get what's needed.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good point, that you can do so much charging, and the fact that you can charge a mobility scooter is actually very important, because when you're out and about, the last thing you want to do is worry about whether you got to turn around because your battery's getting low. And the idea that you can arrive where you're going with a replenished battery, that's got to be priceless.
It is, absolutely. And I mean, I've mentioned that before. You're out with your family, and let's say they want to go from one mall or one amusement park to another. It's like you're constantly thinking, okay, like, how much charge do I have? Where's my next plug? What can I do? And it's like with this, if we jump in the car to go someplace else, I'm charging that battery. And so when I get to my next location, I've got a charge that can last me several miles.
Sure.
For somebody who is feeling the pain at the pump, and they have their local construction job or something where they need a truck, they can easily have you figure these things come in and start off under 40, and you still get your federal tax rebate for them. And if your state offers a rebate, you can get those. And I mean, it makes it truly affordable.
Yeah, although I will say this, given how many Mach-E's and F-150s that Ford is selling, they are predicted to run out of their federal credit pretty quickly. So if you are considering any electric Ford, you better check with your accountant or someone that you can trust, just to make sure. If you're counting on that $7,500, the way that works is once a manufacturer hits 200,000 units, that credit sunsets down to zero.
Another thing about this truck, if you notice it, how smooth this thing rides.
Yes. Yeah, and I will say, folks, I got an opportunity to meet up with a Jacksonville Rivian owner, which you can also find at EV Rider, and I'll link to that at the end of this video. And, totally subjective, because a ride is not living with the vehicle, but I will say, just riding around casually, this F-150 feels a little bit more solid to me than the Rivian did. And I don't want to disparage Rivian in any way. I was very impressed with it as well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to drive one of those yet. It's on my list to do. So I do love the interior styling of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of the two interiors, I mean, they really are quite different, and I think you're going to find fans of each. I don't know that one is better than the other. I think, I'll tell you where I do think Rivian dropped the ball. It's something really basic, and that is a lack of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Like Tesla, they decided to skip those two features. So, for example, let's say you're a Pandora fan. About the only way you're going to be able to get through Pandora is either A, Bluetooth on your phone, or it does have Alexa, so you can have Alexa go ahead and activate it. Of course, you're not going to get any of that album art that you would get in the Ford. But other than that, I thought that the Rivian's interior was very nice, and certainly it had a lot of off-road features as well, like the Ford does. And I would encourage you guys to watch that Rivian video as well if it's anything that you're cross-shopping. Speaking of cross-shopping, Sergio, how did you decide F-150 Lightning over any other pickup in the market? What was your criteria? What made it win out?
Well, I was in the market for a pickup truck. I had a pickup truck back in 2019 and ended up totaling it out. And so I've always wanted a pickup truck, but I wanted to stay away from anything gas, anything diesel, only because I've experienced electric. I enjoy the electric vehicles. I don't want to have pain at the pump. So, I reserved the Cybertruck back on November 21st of 2019 and, was excited to possibly have that as a pickup truck. Rivian announced theirs, but for me, it looked like initially that it was going to be more of a smaller truck, and I wanted to have something bigger. So I decided that the Rivian wasn't going to work for me, and then Ford announced this, and I was just like, there it goes, full-size pickup truck. I want it. I got to have it. And so that was my deciding factor for it. And not only that, but I mean, quite honestly, Ford, when they announced the Mach-E and I reserved it, day one, they delivered. It got here. And then the GT Performance Edition, I got that one, they delivered. And then they mentioned the F-150, they delivered. So, that's a factor for me. I want to go with the company that I know that's going to deliver.
Yeah, and again, in fairness to Rivian, Ford is also having trouble with deliveries, even though Sergio was able to get his F-150 pretty darn fast. Most people are going to probably experience a wait of 6 months and possibly longer than a year, and that's for the folks that already have reservations. So really the lesson with all EVs right now as this is being recorded is if you're in the market, start looking now, plan ahead, think in terms of 6 months or a year so you're not disappointed. Because in most cases, you're going to have to order from the factory to get what you want. The odds of just walking into a lot and picking up that perfect EV, whether we're talking the Rivian or the F-150 or a Mach-E or any EV, is pretty rare right now. And when I say a dealer lot, of course, Rivian also has a different sales model. They don't have dealers like Ford does. So that for some people is a minus or a plus depending on your opinion, but of course with Ford you do have a traditional dealer network. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of EV Rider, but I want to remind everyone, if you're into EVs, lots of other EVs, including two of the ones that we talked about, the new Rivian pickup and of course the Mach-E GT Performance that Sergio also owns. Thanks so much for watching EV Rider. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can bring you more adventures in EV motoring.
Thank you, folks.